Hello, ISB community. Welcome back. Episode 3 of our Breathing Fire podcast, brought to you by the International School of Basel here in Basel, Switzerland. I'm your host, Coach Vic, and this week we've got a slightly different topic than the first two you were used to. First two dealt with sports. This week we're going to branch out a little bit to see what else is happening on our campus, and we've got members of our robotics team, robotics community. I'm not quite sure how you want to describe yourselves, but before we get to that, if you will just state your name, how long you've been here at ISB. Clearly you're part of the robotics, maybe some other things that you also do at ISB.
I'm Anton, and I've been at ISB for about 6 years, and I play lots of sports outside of school, but inside of school I usually participate with tech crew, and yeah, that's about what I do.
I'm Caroline. I've been at the school for, I think this is my 13th year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Long timer.
Wow.
Yeah. And what do I do at the school? I do a lot of sports. Softball season starting now. I do basketball, and then, robotics.
My name is Ringo Dingrando, and I teach some of the robotics classes, half the robotics classes here, and then I also teach physics and in charge of the high school Robotics Club.
Thank you very much. I'm going to jump in with you, Mr. Dingrando. I don't know how many people realize that there's a robotics class, and I don't even know how many schools actually have a robotics class as part of their curriculum.
Not very many. I think we're pretty fortunate to have robotics classes currently offered for our grade 9 and 10 students, whereas as of next year, it'll be different. You can do robotics as a grade 9 student, and then when you move up to grade 10, you can have a different, let's say, more advanced robotics class. Many of those students will then go on to go into, let's say they want to go into computer science, or they want to go into do physics. There's lots of things that you can kind of springboard from robotics into, and then some students, like Caroline, is in the Robotics Club, and then Anton, you're in both the class and the club, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So hearing that, so like different levels of class, right? So there's a fully fleshed out curriculum with like steps and
fully fleshed out is a strong term,
okay.
but we definitely have a curriculum that we have developed. Mr. Paul Forbes and I developed for the grade 9, and then as that becomes grade 10, we've got a stronger, or I guess more advanced curriculum that'll be happening, and then as the years go by, that gets more, I guess, robust and fleshed out, and we'll continue to develop it over the next few years, we hope.
Okay, is that part of the DP program?
It's part of the MYP
Okay.
program, so it runs as a design course right now. Anton, maybe Anton, can you talk about like what your class is doing in design robotics right now?
So currently we've just had an interview with a grade 1 student, and we've asked them like, are there any problems in your life, or are you unhappy, and just like what they want that we can build with a robot, for example. And for me, we're building like a tank that I've been working outside of class.
Did they need it? They said they were unhappy and they needed a tank?
Well, they said,
or did you sort of feed him that idea?
We fed him that idea because we thought, well, what child doesn't like tanks? And
will a tank make you happy?
Yes, it was one of our main questions. Like, what problems are you facing at school? And do you like a tank? And he just said, sure, we like tanks. Another idea was like to pick up Legos, and but we had the idea of tank, and he really liked the idea of tanks. So yeah, and
so
then
you're finding ways to like share what you're learning with different people in the school, like throughout the school, I guess.
Yes, exactly. Right now we've just finished making designs for the robot. And we are starting to build the robot, and I'm nearly 1/5 of the way there, but it's starting to look like a really nice tank, and we actually I get lots of feedback like daily. I ask the teachers like often, is it looking nice? Is it too much, or is it too little? They mostly say it's too much, but so we've had ideas of using plastic and like vinyl wrapping because we want to make it colorful. because we've heard like there's different like colors can inflict different mood on the children. For example, like bright, colorful colors like yellow, orange, green. Those like make happy moods and like more like how do you say it? Like yeah, just happy in general in life and yeah, to create a good mood.
So positive experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
Or emotions. Okay.
Yeah.
So for maybe our viewers who may not be familiar, it sounds like you've described the inquiry cycle to me.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
and
exactly
so that's basically the research part of it.
Yes.
So where you learned about the colors.
Yes.
And maybe how you can do those things.
So we had a criteria A, which was just research. We had to so first we would ask the questions, of course, create the questions, interview about the questions, and then do research about parts that could be included into the robot. So we had a VET's turntable, which was just something that could turn it a 360, like a circle, and you can just it can just turn around.
Yep.
And then we also did a VET's linear slider, and we also researched about tank treads, and yeah, that's what we've done. And then we created designs, which is criteria B.
Yep.
And and then we now making it, so it's kind of a design cycle.
Okay. Excellent. So you're part of the club and the class. So what you just described was part of the class experience, right?
Exactly.
So what's your experience look like with just being a member of the club?
Well, as you might have guessed, we built robots.
Yep.
Crazy.
Couldn't tell by the name.
I know it's. Yeah. Well, every year we use Vex, which is this program that every year they release a new game with new rules. So last year we had rings that you had to get into baskets, and this year it's foam discs that you can, move into a zone, or some rollers you can roll. And so
throw them kind of like frisbee
yeah.
golf.
Well, one robot can do that. Not many robots are advanced enough to be doing that, but
we have one.
yes. Yeah, so every year you get a new objective, and then you basically build a robot that fulfills those requirements. And then as a team of 4 or 5 people. And then we have 3 competitions a year. And then outside of it, I'm a president of the club. Okay. And so me and my co-president, Olivia, we, with Mr. Dingrando, we started a teaching course for kids at Esch. Okay. And so we've done 3 courses?
Yeah, I think 3 sessions with the little kids coming here to Rhineck on Saturday mornings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
cool.
And then we have a 2.5-hour course where we teach them how to build simpler robots with plastic pieces. So it's basically Lego, but a little more complicated. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So while you engage in the design cycle in class, you have more mission-based kind of objective?
Yeah. Well, I like to say I just kind of have fun with it,
Okay.
You just have, something the robot needs to do, and then I do whatever I need to do to make my robot do that.
Okay. You mentioned 3 or 4 people per team, I think is what you said?
Yeah.
So is that a standard number? When you guys, I'm talking about when you go to the competitions. You go to competitions, 3 to 4 people to a team. I guess the first question is, how many people are part of the Robotics Club right now?
So we probably have about 20 active members who are who would regularly take part in, let's say, our competitions we had at the start of the year. Yep. And we let them sort of decide how many people exactly that they put on a team. But I find it works pretty well for us to have about 4 students on a team. Any more than that, it seems maybe there's not enough for each student to do with their robot. But they do need to certainly decide who does what on their team. And that might be worth talking about, within your little teams.
Yeah, what are the roles?
What are those roles?
Because again, I'm not familiar with this, and I'm sure some of our listeners are not as well. So, what are the roles on these teams?
So, I'm a group of 3. We've divided the roles between 3. So I have Jacopo, Noel, and me. I'm the programmer, and I also help out with the building of the robot. Jacopo also helps with the building of the robot, but he's doing the design notebook, because one of the criterias we are marked on for the competitions is our notebook and how well we've structured it, the design, and how we've improved it over time. And Noel, he's basically building the robot. He's sometimes helping me with programming, because there are some I'm not perfect, and sometimes you need another pair of eyes to relook the code. And so yeah, that's what we've done. And you wanna go?
Yeah, well, in my group, we have Olivia, who she's our coding genius because me and Annika, we have no clue when it comes to that. And then I would say I take over more of the like building because I've never really been like a sciencey person, but I know how to put two things together.
Sure.
And then Annika, she kind of, jack of all trades. She helps with all of it, and then she does a lot of the design notebook as well.
So it sounds like each of you tries to play to your strengths within this group, a certain role, but you're not afraid to expand beyond that role for the good of the group. Yeah. And then the whole notebook, what would you call it?
Design notebook.
Design notebook, yeah. Is that like where you're documenting like how you've built it or the steps you've gone through? Like what goes into a design notebook?
So initially you have an idea plan, like a brainstorm. You get a task, you get the competition, what's it about, how you gonna find it, the solution to it, how you gonna create a robot that can complete all the tasks effectively. So you want to find first a plan, and then you want to start designing the robot.
Okay.
So you want to kind of follow the criteria B, a design cycle of start planning, then create some of it, drawing it, then reflect upon it, then go back to that stage and start creating more and how you've solved the problems and issues with the robot, and then you start to build it, and then over time you start to go back, see what's wrong, fix it, add more, fix it again.
And all that's documented.
Yeah, and you usually document that.
Okay.
Yeah. I know my group, we had a struggle sometimes because me and Jacopo, we would come Tuesdays and I would come Thursdays. And Noah would come Thursday break, which is so we have to talk after class, and sometimes you weren't so good at communicating that. So that's why we didn't do so well in our design notebook.
Okay.
Yeah, so
that's very reflective of you, though. So I appreciate
there's
that.
There's a lot of team management that the students, the better teams, will get good at. Is that they have to manage their time because to have a successful robot in some of these competitions takes hundreds of hours, and we're not expecting any one person to be able to have that kind of time. But if you've got a team of 4 and you can delegate who's doing what, who's working on different parts, then the most organized teams can often have the best robot.
Okay. So you said you mentioned we had about 20 kids full time, openly active in this robotics club. So that's about 5 teams roughly.
Yeah.
When you go to these competitions, does everybody get to go, or is there limits on this? How many? Yeah, kind of paint that picture. I'm trying to figure out how many people are in the room or involved in these competitions.
Well, so I'd say this type of competitive robotics is just sort of taking off in Switzerland, and so I think our school is one of the leaders in it. And so now that we've started hosting bigger competitions, we're sort of the first ones to do it. People are coming here, and so when, let's say, Tassis is sending their kids up from Lugano, they have 2 teams, and they might be sending 12 kids, maybe with 6 per. So they're sending their whole teams, and if we can get one of those other Swiss schools to host a competition nearby in Lausanne, Lugano, Zurich,
anywhere,
we would hope to send all 20 of our kids as well.
Okay. So how many have we hosted?
3. Well, this year we hosted 3.
Okay.
And we had at Robo Mesa, how many teams, other schools do we have?
we had 3.
4 others? 3 others?
Well, there was
We had Lausanne.
2 from
Tassis.
Tassis and Lezen, and then
Yeah.
ourselves.
Okay. Yeah, so we had 3 other schools. And so we're hoping next year, if we had 3 other this year, maybe we can get another 5 schools next year. And if we can get more schools doing that around Switzerland, it's just going to make it a lot more competition.
Are you guys feeling the buzz, that maybe with each passing event there's more people and more excitement? Do you feel that, or?
Oh yeah, the first competition we had, there was 1 or 2 other
One
teams.
school. It was
One
just
school.
Tassis.
It was just Tassis that came, and then the second one we had 2, and then at the last one, which was Robomessa, we had 3. So it's gradually
So
increasing.
the next one we're gonna have 4.
And it'd be nice I think it's fun for those other schools to get to travel
Yeah,
and to
of
come
course.
here. But it'd be good if we can get one of them to host, then our students get to travel and go see another place.
Right. So we're talking about competitions in Switzerland. I know that there are continental competitions, there's worldwide competitions. Are those some things that may be on the horizon for us? I mean, what are your thoughts on those kind of things possibly playing out?
Well, hopefully, the winner of the at our Robo Mesa competition, that sort of acted as the Swiss national championship, which it's brand new, so to say national championship is maybe a bit of an ambitious term. But the robot that got the top robot award, they then got an invitation to the VEX World Championships in the U.S. So that school and their team can travel there in late April and take part in the VEX World Championship, which is massive. There's probably over 500 teams that compete at that. And so that is something in the future, if we're able to host the event again, which we will next year, the winner should again get the right to qualify, and hopefully that'll be us.
So is it the winner, like the team, the 4 or 5 people that developed the dragon? Or, sorry, robot? I'm already thinking ahead here. The robot? Or is it like the whole school gets to go because this one team won?
It is just that small team.
Okay.
And maybe these guys can talk about like some of the, it's not just, there's multiple categories that you're trying to win at a competition like this.
So walk us through a competition day. Like,
Yeah, well, you have 4 components. You start off the day with like qualifying matches where you're paired with another team, and so you're 2 teams going against 2 other robots. And then you just try, you have, a minute and a half? Yeah, a minute and a half to just score as many points as possible and prevent them from scoring. So, you're on a little bit of defense, hitting each other's robots, and then that kind of determines your rankings at the beginning of the day. And then you have skills challenges where your robot is alone in the arena for 1 minute, and then either with driver control or autonomous, so like coding it before, you just score as many points as possible in that time. And then again, you're ranked on that. And then you have matches again, and then whoever got the best, you have like a 1 to 8 rank, like who did best and who was like worst from the matches before. And then the team that got number 1, they get to say, oh, okay, well, for the next part I want this team to be my alliance. And then that team can either say yes or no. If they say no, then they kind of have to just wait to the end before they can accept anyone's offer. But so it's basically it's like a drafting. You're drafting who your teammate is.
Survivor.
Yeah, we're kind of like picking teams in kickball.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an intense moment because you had to like stand up in front of everyone in there and just be like, I pick this team. And then everybody's looking at your team like, do you say yes or no? And then your team has to like convene and like, do we say yes or no? And you have like 4 seconds to answer.
Is it advantageous for us to say yes or no?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to say yes. Because if you say no, you have to wait till the whole round is over before you get to choose. And then you might get stuck with like the worst team. So, yeah.
We actually chose you first.
Yeah, our team, we did really, really bad in the qualifying matches, but did really good in the skills challenges. Okay. So the top 4 teams were all interested in drafting us. Yeah. And we had like agreed with one team, like, okay, we're going to say yes to you guys. And then they were number 1, and we were planning on saying no to them. But then, like, right as they were about to say no, and Mr. Dingrando was like, if you say no to them, you have to wait till it's over. And we're like,
is that why you chose us?
Oops. Yeah, it is.
Airing out laundry here.
Yeah, so we kind of felt like we had to say us because we were the worst team. So we needed somebody strong, so we teamed up.
Yeah.
So maybe you guys can help me a little bit. I've been to robotics competition, so I kind of know what you're talking about. I can visualize it. But you talked about points. You talked about an arena. You talked about autonomous programming. Like, those are some things that may be foreign to some of our listeners. So if you can kind of walk us through that a little bit.
So the arena, it's like put of like, we have multiple squares, and at the end of the the little round, your robot needs to cover the most possible squares at the end, so that it's like the last 10 seconds. And when you end on them, it's a multiplier. What was the multiplier again?
3 points. 3 points per tile you're touching.
Yeah, exactly. And so also there'll be rollers on the side of the arena, and your robot had to turn them to your color, and it would be 10 points per roller. And on the autonomous part, it's 15 seconds at the start, or is it?
Yep.
15 seconds at the start, where your robot is just, you can't touch the controls, and it does a program that you programmed it to do. And for example, my program, it had to spin the wheel, and we tried our best to program it so it scooped up all the little discs that were scattered on the ground, and we had to put them into our little try zone where we would get points for it.
Okay, so some of it is remote controlled, and then some of it is pre-programmed.
So 15 minutes pre-programmed and 1 minute 30.
Seconds. You said 15 minutes, seconds. 15 minutes would be a very, very, very long time to have to code something.
Have to be a good prod.
Yeah, you have to be
we aren't.
super pro. Well, you say that, so like I'm curious, how would you say you've progressed from the first time you started working with these robots and programming and competing and to where you are now?
I think the biggest thing, like personally, is I can handle my stress a lot better.
Okay.
Like all of last year and our first tournament this year, I like broke down into tears halfway through the day because I was like, the stress at these competitions is wild. It gets so intense, but you know, I'm better now at managing the stress, also because I'm preparing better beforehand. So it's just like knowing how things are gonna work. Like if you're going into it and you have no idea how a competition works, you're like, okay, well, what do I do now? Where do I go now? And blah blah blah. But if you know what you're doing, I feel like I don't know, you can prepare yourself for it better. Yeah.
I think certainly I've seen a steep learning curve from the students compared to last year when we started doing this for the first time at ISB, and we had the first robotics competitions in this type of hardware and with these types of rules. I think even if those kids who were seniors last year and graduated came back and saw the level that the kids were at this year, I think they would say, oh, wow, they've actually progressed quite a bit this year. And I think, you know, if Caroline comes back 2 years later or 3 years later after graduating, hopefully she'll say, oh, whoa, you guys are so much more advanced, because it takes a few years of kids doing these competitions before they can start getting really good and start scoring bunches of points and becoming more competitive on, let's say, a more worldwide stage as opposed to just locally.
Right. Anton, you were going to say...
Oh, yeah. So I've... what was I going to say?
We're talking about improvement or progress.
Oh, yes. So I actually think that my programming skills have improved because at the start I did all of the programming by like scratch code with blocks.
Okay.
And now I've been trying and practicing to program in Python, which is a more text language. Instead of just adding blocks together and slotting them in, it's quite hard. We had a few errors, but I had Noel's help to catch some of my errors to fix it.
Well, you got to make errors in order to understand how to make it better, right? So, yeah, I think that's one of those things we embrace in a lot of different facets here at ISB is it's okay to make these mistakes, you know, and then as long as we're learning from them, they're good mistakes, right? So, looking ahead, talking about, you know, improving, what are some things that maybe, I don't know, you, Mr. Dingrando, or either of you, where do you see it going? Like, what's the next step in the progress or the growth of robotics, at least here at ISB?
I mean, I would like to see the students have, once they start getting more seasons of competition under their belt, I'd like to see them starting at a higher level each season. Whereas it's going to be all new rules every season with new game pieces, but once a student has built, let's say, 2 or 3 big competition robots, it's a lot quicker to get started. So I think we'll see in the next few years, when we do our first competition in, let's say, September, October, already we'll see hopefully more advanced robots than we're seeing this year.
Okay. What about you guys?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm hoping to make it to Worlds, you know.
Okay.
I have next year.
Yep.
And then I don't even actually know if I can go next year because of exams, but, you know, fingers crossed. That'd be pretty cool.
I'm also hoping to win it. We came second this year, super close to first.
Yeah, we're very
So,
close.
yeah, we were super close. So this year we want to come first, hopefully, unless they beat us.
Keep it in-house, though. That's the important part. Keep it in here.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, so with that, what are some, I guess one thing people may not understand is the actual equipment you're working with. Is it equipment that is specialized? Is it something I can go and buy off the shelf or order on Amazon? Like, what does this kind of look like?
Well, so it's a branded thing. It's Vex hardware, which it is modular stuff that is mainly made of steel or aluminum. And because it's modular and has all these holes, it can go together in a million different ways. Okay. It has individual motors that can be swapped in and out, as well as sensors. So I guess if you come look at it, you're going to see like a grayish metal skeleton with motors and wires all over it. But it can then be put together to look like anything. And you just want to say anything about what your robot looks like?
Well, no, I feel like you covered it pretty well. Yeah, grayish blob of metal.
Yeah,
It's
quite a mess.
like reverse Lego. Like instead of having something that like sticks out and then you like put them together, you have like holes.
Okay.
So that you're actually using like a screw and you're not just like pushing stuff together.
Okay. No, because I remember I asked because I know that my son had like a robotics, I don't know what to call it, kit starter set, like that he could program and code, and this was years ago, and we were able to buy it like commercially. So I don't know if that's something that if that still exists, if it's a commercial bot situation, or if it's something like that the school has to provide for, or if somebody could donate like this piece that they're not using at the house anymore. Like that's what we did in our last school. We ended up donating it to the school when we left. But I don't know if that's something that's open or possible for you guys, or even worth looking into.
That's a nice transition that you had there, because we are looking for if there's any, let's say, corporate sponsors who would like to help us get more of the kit for it, because all of the parts are quite pricey.
Yeah.
And so we could certainly, if you look at other competitions around the world, like you go to a competition in the U.S., you're going to see local teams that have all sorts of sponsorship from their local, often tech-based companies that want to help out an educational STEM type competition. And so, like, for example, if you go to the Detroit area, you're going to see all the car companies involved with sponsoring robot teams, and you'll see the students traveling with their robot boxes with stickers from Chrysler and Ford.
Cool.
And everything. And that's the type of thing that could certainly help us out. If we start going to competitions around Switzerland or around Europe, and if we could help with some of our local businesses and getting sponsorship, that would be a huge step up for our team.
Okay, I'm gonna look in that camera right there, and if there's somebody out there that is interested in sponsoring our robotics team, we clearly have one. It's clearly healthy. We would clearly accept the help, and yeah, move both parties forward, our school and your company. So that'd be amazing. Great collaboration. So yeah, we're getting near the end now of this chat, and it's been super cool for me. I like to see that you're excited about it. Where do you see your participation in robotics like helping you maybe in the future?
Well, it's gonna help me because I'm trying to take more leadership roles.
Okay.
And so I was asked into Mr. Dingrando if there's any leadership roles at robotics, and he said, yeah. I forgot what it was. Was it?
We'll have officer positions.
Yeah, officers' positions, something like that.
Like the president?
He's trying to
I
take
can't
my
replace.
spot.
Apparently. It's already
I got
politicking for it.
competition.
Quite big competition.
So yeah, leadership spots, that's something
Yeah.
you see helping you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, in the future. Caroline, you mentioned a little bit about your like emotional management.
Yeah.
Is there other things that
Yeah, I mean, there's that, but also I really like the course that we've been doing,
Okay.
like teaching little kids. Because I think,
Tell them about the summer course.
oh yeah, we're doing a summer camp for
Oh.
only ISB kids, but a week, the first week of summer holidays, we're running a full camp for, how old? 5th grade? Or 3rd?
Kids are going into 1st grade up through 6th grade.
wow. So a full day in a full week of robotics.
Half day.
Half day.
Yeah.
My bad. Half day, full week of robotics.
Yes.
Wow. Still amazing. Yeah, continue.
Well, yeah, no, I was just like being able to like plan that and then, executing it and having to work with little kids. But also like, isn't that Einstein who said you don't fully understand something until you can explain it to a 6-year-old. So I think it's definitely like helped my understanding of it and being able to like dumb it down a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, I really like that.
Simplify.
Yeah.
Simplify. Okay. What about you as the leader, the adult leader of this group? How does this help you?
It's certainly a challenge. For me, it's a big challenge of parts management. Just like trying to keep the robotics room orderly and in a way that the students can still find stuff, that we can store stuff, that when, let's say, visitors walk in to check out our program, they don't walk in and say, whoa, this is just parts everywhere. So that is it's a nice challenge, though. It's me trying to be more organized so that students can be successful in building their robots, and also trying to do a little bit of branding and promoting the club and showing off to the community what the students are doing. And so that makes me really excited to see like Caroline and Olivia and Annika, who started this program for little kids, being able to offer it to other people in the ISB community.
Oh, cool. That's great. So this is the part of the show where I think it's only the third show, but I think it's probably going to become something that becomes a part of the show. And here at the end, you'll get a chance to shout out whoever you'd like. If you want to shout out a friend or say something or thank somebody, here's your chance to send kind of your message to our audience. So I'll give you some think time, and when you're ready, fire away.
A shout out to Jacopo. He's been a real helpful tool to robotics and our team building. Also Noel. Thank you to them. You guys were really helpful in helping like put together the robot and the design cycles, and just everything was just excellent with you guys there, and it was really fun working with you.
I'll shout out my leadership team and Robo Group, Olivia and Annika. You guys awesome.
Mr. Tim Hughes for helping out with the Robotics Club and always being willing to have a nice coffee chat with the girls who are maybe not building so quickly, but providing him entertainment.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you guys coming, sharing your thoughts, sharing your experiences with not just me, but our entire community. I wish you the best. Lots of success here in the future. I hope it continues to grow, and I'm sure it will. So with that, I will bring this episode of Breathing Fire to a close. We'll see you next time with something else happening here on the ISB campus. So until then, keep breathing fire.